My husband often said he was going to visit an old friend. I'm Ashley, 31, and we've been married for 4 years. Everything looked perfect on the surface. Our cozy house in Seattle, weekend hikes, matching coffee mugs. But those old friend trips started adding up. Every other Thursday, Ryan would grab his keys after dinner, kiss me on the cheek, and say, "Just catching up with someone from high school, won't be late." At first, I shrugged it off. Then the late nights turned into overnights. He'd come home smelling like someone else's perfume, phone face down, stories that didn't quite match. One Saturday, while he was at the gym, I opened the trunk of his car to grab my yoga mat, and there it was, a small black photo album tucked under the spare tire. I flipped it open right there in the driveway. Page after page of intimate pictures. Him and a woman I didn't recognize. Arms wrapped tight, lips pressed together, handwritten dates going back 2 years. My stomach dropped. I snapped photos of every page with my phone, slid the album back exactly where I found it, and closed the trunk. That night, he walked in smiling, asking what was for dinner. I smiled back and said, "Your favorite." Inside, my mind was already racing. If you could go back in time, would you still marry your current husband? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. That same evening, Sarah showed up with a bottle of red. She's my best friend since college, the one person I trust with anything. I poured 2 glasses, handed her the phone, and watched her face change as she scrolled through the shots I'd taken. Her eyes widened at a photo of Ryan's hand on the woman's waist, another with them kissing under string lights. Handwritten notes on the backs. "Missed you today," and "Can't wait for next time." Sarah set the phone down, took a long sip, and looked at me straight. "We need to know who she is and how often this happens." I nodded, already ahead of her. We started small, checking Ryan's calendar when he showered, noting patterns in his credit card app that he'd left logged in on the shared laptop. Coffee shops on Tuesdays, a hotel bar downtown on Fridays. Sarah suggested we tail him once, just to confirm. I hesitated, but agreed. We picked a Thursday he claimed was drinks with the guys from work. Parked across the street from the upscale lounge he favored, we waited in her SUV. Ryan walked in wearing the blue shirt I'd ironed that morning. 20 minutes later, a woman joined him at the corner booth. Brunette, early 30s, laughing at whatever he said. Sarah snapped photos from the window while I gripped the steering wheel. They leaned close, her hand brushing his arm, his fingers tracing the rim of her glass. No mistaking the chemistry. Back at my place, we pulled up the reunion invite list from our old high school group on social media. Matched the face to a profile. Jessica Harper, married, 2 kids, lives 40 minutes away. Her post showed family vacations, but the comments from Ryan dated back months. Heart emojis. Inside references. Sarah cross-referenced the hotel bar receipts with Jessica's tagged check-ins. Same nights, same places. We sat in silence, staring at the evidence spread across the coffee table. This wasn't a one-time slip. It was a full-blown secret life. I dug deeper into Jessica's online presence from my home office. Her profile listed Jessica's husband, Brandon Harper, a project manager at a local construction firm, complete with joint photos at kids' soccer games and anniversary posts. Ryan had liked every single one, sometimes within minutes of them going live. I created a fake account to view more. Private stories showed Jessica complaining about Brandon's long hours while tagging locations Ryan had mentioned in passing. Cross-checking his work emails on the shared drive revealed excuses for client meetings that aligned perfectly with her schedule. Sarah helped print the clearest photos onto glossy paper at a self-service kiosk downtown, avoiding any digital trail. We organized them in a plain folder. Dates, locations, and notes scribbled on sticky tabs for quick reference. I added screenshots of Ryan's calendar entries marked out of office on days he'd told me he was home early. Brandon's contact info came from a public directory linked to their neighborhood association. I drafted a short anonymous email from a temporary address, attaching one tame photo as proof and explaining the reunion connection without naming myself. Sarah reviewed it, suggested toning down the language to focus on facts. We hit send and waited. His reply arrived fast. Confusion turning to gratitude, then a request for more details. I shared a few additional images, enough to paint the picture without overwhelming. Brandon confirmed he had no idea about the old friend visits and agreed the truth needed to surface. Back home, I stored the folder in a locked drawer, separate from everyday files. Ryan came in from the garage, mentioned an upcoming business trip, and asked if I needed anything from the store. I handed him a grocery list and watched him leave without suspicion. Ryan brought up the high school reunion over breakfast one morning. He slid the invitation across the table, excited about the 20th anniversary event at the old gymnasium. I glanced at the details. Formal dress, open bar, slideshow of memories. He mentioned running into Jessica online and thought it would be fun if she came along as his plus one since Brandon worked weekends. I kept my expression neutral, stirring my coffee. Sarah and I reviewed the guest list that evening, spotting both Jessica and Brandon confirmed attending separately. Ryan started coordinating outfits with Jessica through casual texts I glimpsed on his unlocked screen while he napped on the couch. He picked a navy suit, asked her opinion on ties. I forwarded Brandon the official reunion flyer from my regular email, suggesting he surprise Jessica there for their anniversary month. He responded quickly, appreciating the heads up and confirming his plan to show up unannounced. We exchanged a few messages about logistics, entrance times, parking. I prepared a small USB drive with selected images loaded in a hidden folder, labeled innocently as old photos. Sarah practiced transferring files to the venue's projector system using a similar setup at the library. Ryan booked a hotel room nearby for after-party convenience, mentioning it offhand while packing his gym bag. I nodded, folding laundry in the bedroom. The night before the event, he laid out cufflinks, polished shoes, and asked if I minded him going solo to reconnect with classmates. I told him to have a great time. Sarah dropped off a backup drive sealed in an envelope marked for the DJ booth. Brandon sent a final text thanking me again and promising to handle the rest. I slipped both drives into my clutch purse alongside lipstick and keys. The gymnasium buzzed with laughter and old music. I arrived early in a simple black dress, mingling near the check-in table, with former classmates swapping stories about careers and kids. Ryan showed up fashionably late, arm-linked with Jessica's, both dressed to impress. He spotted me across the room, waved enthusiastically, and guided her over for introductions. Jessica smiled politely, complimenting my earrings while Ryan grabbed drinks from the bar. They settled at a high-top table near the dance floor, heads close together, reminiscing about senior pranks and forgotten teachers. I circulated, chatting with groups, keeping them in peripheral vision. Ryan's hand rested on Jessica's lower back as they posed for group photos with mutual friends. She leaned into him during a slow song, his fingers intertwining with hers away from the crowd. Sarah texted from her spot near the entrance, confirming everything looked normal so far. I excused myself to the restroom, checked the clutch for the drive, and returned to the main floor. The DJ announced a slideshow break, dimming lights for projected yearbook images on the big screen. Ryan and Jessica took seats front row, sharing a plate of appetizers, her leg crossed toward him. He whispered something that made her laugh, covering her mouth. Classmates filtered in for the presentation, filling rows of folding chairs. I positioned myself near the projector booth, heart steady. The door at the back swung open again, and Brandon stepped inside, scanning the room. He wore a dark suit, tie slightly loosened, expression shifting from curious to focused as his eyes landed on the couple. Sarah waved him over discreetly, pointing toward the stage area. Brandon nodded, weaving through the crowd without drawing attention. Ryan stood to refill their glasses, Jessica smoothing her dress as she waited. The slideshow ended with applause, transitioning to open mic memories. I slipped the drive into my pocket, ready. I approached the DJ booth during the transition. The technician stepped away for a break, leaving the laptop unattended. I inserted the drive, navigated to the folder, and cued the sequence to override the next playlist intermission. Returning to the floor, I stood near Sarah as the lights brightened for announcements. The screen flickered from event logo to the first image, Ryan and Jessica embracing in a dimly lit restaurant booth. Gasps rippled through the seated crowd. Next slide, them holding hands across a candlelit table, smiles wide. Ryan froze mid-sip, glass halfway to his lips. Jessica's face drained of color, her chair scraping back. Another photo loaded. Lips meeting in a parked car, windows fogged. Brandon pushed forward from the aisle, eyes locked on the projection. The room hushed except for the click of advancing slides. A close-up of intertwined fingers, with wedding rings visible on both. Ryan stood abruptly, knocking over a water pitcher that spilled across the tablecloth. Jessica clutched her purse, scanning for exits. Brandon reached their spot, voice cutting through the silence. "What the hell is this?" Ryan stammered, hands raised defensively. Jessica backed away, bumping into chairs. The final image lingered, a hotel keycard in Ryan's palm, Jessica's reflection in the mirror behind. Phones emerged from pockets, flashes capturing the screen. Brandon turned to Jessica, face hardened. "You told me book club." She opened her mouth, no words coming. Ryan glanced at me, realization dawning. The DJ returned, killed the feed, but the damage saturated the air, classmates whispered, forming clusters around the trio. Sarah gripped my arm, steadying us both. Brandon stormed toward the exit without looking back. Jessica chased after him, heels clicking on the gym floor, pleading under her breath. Ryan blocked her path, voice rising in accusation about who leaked the pictures. She shoved past, claiming he started everything by pushing boundaries. He countered that her constant texts made it impossible to stop. Classmates formed a loose circle, murmurs growing into open commentary on the unfolding mess. Sarah pulled me aside near the coat check, eyes wide at the escalating voices. Ryan turned to the crowd, demanding to know the source of the images. Jessica halted at the doors, tears streaking mascara, insisting it was just friendship gone wrong. A former teammate shook his head, walking away with his wife. I stepped forward into the center, voice clear over the noise. "Those were our lives you played with." Ryan's gaze locked on mine, mouth opening, then closing. Jessica froze, hand on the push bar. I continued, announcing the marriage ended that night and papers would follow soon. No one interrupted. Ryan's shoulders slumped, face reddening under fluorescent lights. Jessica slipped out alone, door swinging shut behind her. The DJ resumed music at low volume, but dancing felt distant. Groups broke into hushed conversations, avoiding eye contact with Ryan. He grabbed his jacket from the table, muttering excuses no one acknowledged. Sarah squeezed my hand as we headed for the parking lot. Months later, Ryan's firm let him go after clients pulled contracts. Jessica finalized divorce papers, losing primary custody and half her savings in the settlement. Brandon kept the house. She moved into a small apartment downtown. I sold our shared property, split assets cleanly, and bought a condo near the water. Sarah helped to unpack boxes while we planned weekend hikes again. Ryan tried contacting mutual friends for support. Most stopped responding. Jessica's social circle shrank to a handful of sympathetic coworkers. I started consulting freelance, setting my own hours around morning runs. The reunion photos circulated in private chats, but life moved forward. Ryan took a lower-paying sales job 2 states away. Jessica enrolled in therapy, focusing on co-parenting schedules. I deleted old joint accounts, built new routines. Looking back, the pain sharpened my boundaries. Trust is fragile. Once cracked, it shatters everything built on it. Secrets don't stay buried, they surface and demand payment. Ryan and Jessica paid with careers, homes, reputations. I paid with a marriage I thought would last. The difference is I walked away stronger, clearer about what I deserve. No more excuses, no more blind faith. Honesty isn't optional in love, it's the foundation. Break it, and the collapse affects everyone. Their choices taught me that protecting peace means acting decisively. I don't regret the public reveal. It forced truth into the open, ended the deception, and freed us all to rebuild. Some marriages end in quiet fade-outs. Mine ended in necessary noise. The lesson for anyone watching: guard your trust fiercely. If someone hides pieces of their life, they're already choosing distance over partnership. demand transparency early. Waiting only delays the inevitable fallout. I'm proof that surviving betrayal builds resilience. Today, I wake up to ocean views, coffee on my terms, plans that excite me. Ryan and Jessica live with consequences they can't undo. I live with freedom I earned.